Welcome to this biographical explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're going to explore the life, the mind, and the massive career of a truly multifaceted Brazilian talent, Rodrigo Navarro da Silva. And what makes Rodrigo's story so captivating isn't just his huge list of achievements, though, trust me, it's impressive, but how his personal milestones map so perfectly onto modern history. Our source material today is a rich academic biographical dossier from the year 2026, put together from Rodrigo's own personal documents and artistic records. So get ready, because this journey is packed with twists, global ambition, and just a really deep passion for art. Let's jump right in.
Okay, let's lay out our roadmap, which follows the exact structure of Rodrigo's dossier. We've got 1. The multifaceted artist. 2. Roots and historical context. 3. National and international works. 4. The literary essence. And finally, 5. Vision and 2026 legacy.
Starting off with Section 1, the multifaceted artist, from São Paulo to the world.
The overarching theme of Rodrigo's career is essentially a modern hero's journey. He isn't just an actor who memorizes lines, he's a true Renaissance man. And nothing illustrates the sheer astronomical scale he reached quite like this number. 87 billion euros. Yeah, you heard that right. That was the estimated budget for his 2012 BBC London feature film, Infinity. This massive project brought together over 80 professionals from all over the world, with shoots in London, New York, Rio, and Bahia. It was Rodrigo's thunderous international peak, and he was the main star. But you've got to wonder, how exactly does someone get to command a project of that magnitude?
Well, the answer lies in the incredible diversity of his earlier portfolio. Before hitting that gigantic European milestone in 2012, Rodrigo spent years building this massive, varied body of work. He didn't just box himself into one studio or one format. As an actor, he was a staple at the Latin giant Televisa, San Angel, and the BBC. But get this, he's also credited as a writer for over 14 original titles and soap operas. That kind of output is just surreal. Add to that his music, he actually composed and released the album R4, and his deeply sensitive poetry. He is literally the definition of a plural artist.
Moving on to Section 2, Roots and Historical Context. Growing up with Brazil.
Now, the dossier really cleverly traces his achievements right alongside Brazil's massive cultural and technological shifts. It's super nostalgic. Rodrigo was born in late 1987, just before Brazil's new constitution. His childhood completely spanned the analog 90s. He was 7 when the country introduced the Plano Real currency and won their 4th World Cup in '94. By the time he was 10 in 1997, while Brazilian kids were totally obsessed with the premiere of the soap opera Chiquititas, he was living right in the thick of an era where entertainment was just starting to crawl out of tube TVs, and pop culture was really starting to shape his imagination.
And then, boom, the millennium turns. Rodrigo's teenage years lined up exactly with the digital revolution. In 2004, the social network Orkut completely took over Brazil, and by 2006, YouTube was expanding fast. The whole way we connected and consumed art changed overnight. Rodrigo became a young adult and started carving out his independence exactly when the internet began dictating the rules of the game. He basically came of age alongside the internet itself.
Which brings us to the modern era. 2012 was a huge turning point. The whole country of Brazil stopped to watch the mega-hit soap opera Avenida Brasil, and meanwhile, Rodrigo was flying off to London to shoot Infinity. The years roll on, bringing growth and global challenges like the 2020 pandemic, until we land in the present day of this 2026 dossier. Now, in his late 30s, he's reaching full maturity right in the middle of the artificial intelligence era. This whole timeline proves that Rodrigo's depth as an artist comes from his ability to absorb and ride these massive waves of societal transformation.
That takes us to Section 3, National and International Works, the Face and the Pen.
So what's really interesting about this slide is how it shows Rodrigo brilliantly balancing a life in the spotlight with the quiet discipline of writing. His versatility is right here in the data. As an actor, he didn't just shine nationally in Amigas or Reviles. He dominated the Latin scene by starring in Jogos to Amor for Televisa. Get this, that soap opera was shot simultaneously in 6 hubs across Brazil and 4 other Latin countries, and he played 2 characters at the same time. But while he was putting in all this grueling work in front of the camera, he was also writing like crazy behind it. He launched Fora da Lei in 2009, Amor Juvenil in 2010, alongside dozens of other projects. The sheer volume and discipline required to maintain that dual pace is just mind-blowing. Now, the crucial thing to understand here is the intense sacrifice behind all that global success. To really get what it meant to be Rodrigo Navarro at the end of 2012, just look at this chaotic holiday schedule. Imagine this. You spend December 27th through the 31st filming frantically in London. No New Year's break at all. January 1st and 2nd, you're on a tour in Paris. The 3rd, Geneva. The 4th and 5th, right back to shooting in the Bavaria region. And by the 7th and 8th, you're promoting the film at the Vatican and in Rome. The physical exhaustion and the sheer momentum of this infinity era perfectly illustrate the absolute peak of his executive and artistic career. It's intense.
Let's shift gears a bit for Section 4, the literary essence, the inner voice.
Behind all the frenzy of international flights and red carpets, there's a much quieter, deeper voice. We're pivoting from his massive global success to his intimate, internal landscape. Look at this excerpt from his poem Apprentissage. He writes, "In Saint-Louis de Kourou, where my roots are, where the people who made me happy are." Think about that contrast. Here's a guy flying between shoots in Bavaria and billion-euro projects, and what does he choose to write his poetry about? Saint-Louis de Kourou. He writes about the warm ground, pure love, and longing for where he came from. It shows an artist who kept his feet firmly planted in his roots, no matter how high he flew.
And that's exactly why this quote of his, found in his personal records, is so powerful. He says, "I love acting, but what really anchors me are the letters." The glamour of the soap operas and the prestige of a movie set in England might feed the ego and build fame, but writing is his true anchor. It's in the written word that the real Rodrigo Navarro actually lives.
And you really see how profound and vulnerable he gets in his writing. In his poem Caro, we see a completely disarmed side of the international star. He writes, "I want you to be the boy who ages and grows in my skin. I want you to be my boy love." It's just this raw, romantic surrender. It's a longing for innocence, discovery, and the purity of a real connection. It proves that while the cameras captured the heartthrob, the paper captured the human soul behind him.
When he takes that raw emotion and channels it into structured scripts, the result is top-tier melodrama. A perfect example is the synopsis for his project Tinha que ser você, or It Had to Be You. Follow me on this emotional roller coaster. The protagonists, Bruno and Gabriella, swear eternal love at 15. But fate strikes, a tragic death happens, and a devastated Gabriella flees to live as a recluse in a convent for 7 years. When she finally reappears in São Paulo, she crosses paths with the mysterious Wesley and starts seeing traces of her lost love in him. It's tragic, it's romantic, it totally plays with the idea of fate. It's Rodrigo using his flair to tangle the audience up in extreme emotions.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Vision and 2026 Legacy, Reflecting on the Journey.
Bringing it back to the present day, we get to look at what grounds an artist after decades of constant reinvention. He's built an enviable legacy, and as you can see, he doesn't apologize for it. With fierce confidence, he says, "It's not my fault if I have the ability to do what I love. That generates envy. Are you angry? Complain to God, because He's the one who gave and gives me the strength to keep going." That is such a firm, authentic stance from someone who knows the massive price he paid for his spot, all those sleepless nights writing and those packed European schedules. It's the wisdom of focusing entirely on your own path, no matter what anyone else thinks.
But don't mistake that confidence for arrogance. He balances that commanding presence with a really deep sense of generational humility. When he looks at the young actors coming up today at Televisa, he shares this grounding advice. "I always sought out the elders. Always seek to converse with the elders." Even with all the glory he experienced in his youth, he still reveres lived experience. He respects the wisdom of those who came before him, and he understands that art is, ultimately, a continuous human chain of knowledge.
And it's exactly that chain of connections that brings us to this final, provocative thought. Rodrigo Navarro da Silva's dossier stretches from the analog Brazil of the 90s all the way to the AI revolution in 2026, with a whole lifetime of art and passion right in the middle. So I have to ask you, how does your own timeline compare to these radical transformations we've all lived through over the last few decades? What were you doing at the height of the Orkut era, and what do the scripts and schedules of your life look like today? Think about it. I hope Rodrigo's incredible journey of resilience and creative passion inspires you as much as it did me. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this biographical explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.